Hey there, fellow knowledge seeker. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What are we tackling today?
Today we're diving into the world of business and personal injury law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because who hasn't wondered about their rights after a little fender bender?
Right.
Or maybe dreamt of starting their own business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to help us with this deep dive, we've got some great insights from a law firm in Chicago,
Okay.
Bellas and Wachowski.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they've been around for over 40 years.
Wow. 40 years. That's
That's a lot of experience.
a lot of cases.
Yeah, and they seem to really get that a lot of us just going about our day-to-day lives, we run into legal stuff all the time without even realizing.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah, and their website really emphasizes how they want to be guides, not just lawyers.
Okay. I like that approach.
Yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
for anyone out there thinking about maybe starting their own business, hanging their own shingle,
Yeah.
they break down the sometimes confusing world of business formation.
Oh, that's huge.
Like, should you be a sole proprietorship or an LLC?
Right, because that is a big decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, maybe don't realize how important that is.
Right, and they really emphasize that choosing the right structure
Mm-hmm.
is critical for protecting your personal assets, too.
Yeah.
It's like choosing the right insurance for your business.
It is. It really is about protecting yourself as much as it is about getting the business up and running.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just the structure of the business. It's also about understanding things like intellectual property protection,
Oh, that's a big one.
which can be a real blind spot, I think, especially for new business owners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So say you come up with like this amazing cookie recipe.
Okay.
You're going to open your own bakery. You're so excited.
Right.
You pour your heart and soul into this recipe. You haven't patented it.
Oh.
Someone could totally snag that recipe
Exactly.
and make a profit.
Yep. You've got to protect yourself.
Protecting your copyrights, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, it can really make or break you.
It really can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about business basics, but let's talk about those unexpected legal curveballs life throws our way.
All right, let's do it.
Their personal injury section was pretty eye-opening.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about it. Car accidents, slip and falls in the grocery store,
All the time.
medical mishaps. It made me realize how important it is to understand my rights.
Right. And they break down some pretty complex stuff, like the modified comparative negligence rule in Illinois.
Okay, hold on. What is that?
Yeah. So basically, it means that in an accident,
Okay.
your compensation can be reduced based on your own percentage of fault.
So even if you're only partially to blame.
Even if you're like 10% at fault, it could still affect how much you receive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which is why it's so crucial to have legal representation after an accident.
To make sure you're not shouldering more of the blame than you deserve.
Exactly.
Speaking of accidents, they get into the nitty-gritty of different types,
Okay, like what?
like motorcycle accidents,
Right.
which I think can be really tricky.
They can be.
Yeah, because it's like just because they're on a motorcycle, they're automatically assumed to be reckless.
Right. It's like that bias.
Yeah.
That can really affect things. And, they've seen how those stereotypes can lead to people getting blamed unfairly.
Right. And that's why it's so important to have someone who knows the law in your corner.
Absolutely. Someone who's ready to fight for you.
Yeah.
And that's something they really emphasize in their materials.
And it's not just motorcycle accidents.
Yeah.
They talk about a lot of different types of accidents.
Right. Like truck accidents.
Oh, yeah, those are
A whole other.
scary.
Yeah, because you're talking about a huge vehicle
Right.
with a lot more potential for damage.
And sometimes it's not even just the truck driver who's at fault.
Right. It can be the trucking company,
Yeah.
especially if they haven't been following safety regulations.
Right, like overloading the trucks or
Exactly. Things like that.
it's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
It really is.
Speaking of which, I was actually surprised by how much they emphasize slip and fall accidents.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of always thought of those as like minor inconveniences,
Right.
But they can be a much bigger deal,
Yeah, like you could get seriously injured.
especially older adults.
Right.
And it comes down to, did the property owner know about the hazard and fail to do anything about it?
So it's not just about like little spill in aisle 3.
No, not at all.
It's about negligence.
Right.
Wow, okay.
It makes you think twice about those wet floor signs.
Right. Suddenly I'm very aware of every crack in the sidewalk.
Exactly.
And speaking of things that make you go, their section on medical malpractice was a little bit scary, not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's like you think you're in good hands.
Yeah.
You know you're going to the doc. Right. You're trusting them with your health.
Yeah. And it's not even always about like these huge surgical errors,
Right. They talk about misdiagnoses, medication errors, anesthesia errors.
Things that could happen to anybody.
Exactly. And it can be really difficult to know what your rights are in those situations.
So what do you do? Like if something like that happens to you, how do you even begin to navigate that?
Well, that's where having an experienced attorney is so important.
They can help you figure out what to do.
Right, because these cases can be very complex,
Yeah.
and they often involve expert testimony.
So you need someone who really knows the ins and outs of medical malpractice law.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about accidents, but let's switch gears a little bit and talk about product liability.
Okay.
Sure, because we're all consumers, right?
We're all using products every day.
Yeah, and Bellas and Wachowski, they make a really clear distinction between different types of product defects.
Right, because that can really affect who's liable if you're injured.
So, like, is it a manufacturing flaw, meaning something went wrong on the assembly line? Or is it a design flaw, meaning the product itself was just designed poorly?
Yeah, exactly. And those are two very different things.
Wow. So you really have to think about all the different angles.
You do. You really have to understand the different ways a product can be defective.
And speaking of products and manufacturing, they also talk about construction accidents.
Oh, right. Those can be really serious.
And the legal side of those can get really complicated.
Right, because there are a lot of different parties involved.
Like you've got the workers, the contractors, the property owners.
Exactly.
And then there's the whole issue of workers' compensation.
Right, which can be a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, so it's not always a straightforward situation.
No, it's not. And unfortunately, sometimes these accidents can be fatal.
Right, and that's when it becomes a wrongful death claim.
Which is a really tragic situation.
It is. And Bellas and Wachowski, they really emphasize how in those cases, it's about helping the families get justice.
Right, and some measure of financial security after such a loss.
Because losing a loved one is hard enough, you shouldn't have to worry about the financial burden on top of that.
Exactly. And that really brings us to a key theme I noticed throughout their website.
Okay, what's that?
This idea of their total guard approach.
Total guard approach. Okay, tell me more about that. What does that even mean?
So it's more than just a service. It's their whole philosophy towards representing their clients.
Okay, I like it.
It's about being proactive, not just reactive.
Okay, so instead of just waiting for problems to happen, they try to prevent them.
Exactly. It's like they're playing legal chess, thinking several moves ahead.
I like that analogy. That's a good one.
And they actually offer this as a service to businesses.
Really?
Yeah. So they'll review contracts, advise on compliance issues, and basically act as an external legal department.
So for businesses that maybe can't afford their own in-house counsel,
Exactly.
that's a great service.
Yeah, it's about preventing legal headaches before they even start.
I love it. Okay, so they're not just lawyers. They're like strategic partners.
Exactly. They're helping their clients achieve their goals while staying on the right side of the law.
Yeah, that's important.
It is, and this proactive approach, they apply it to individuals too.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, they talk about estate planning. Okay.
Which is something a lot of people put off.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really important.
Yeah.
And they can help you create a will designate powers of attorney. Consider things like healthcare directives.
So you're taking control of your legal future instead of just leaving it up to chance.
Exactly. And potentially avoiding a lot of heartache for your loved ones down the line.
That's like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. And that's definitely true when it comes to legal matters.
So it all comes back to being prepared and knowing your options.
Right. And that's something Bellas and Wachowski really emphasize. Knowledge is power.
Right. And when you know what your rights are and what your options are, then you can make better decisions for yourself.
Exactly. You're not caught off guard.
And it's like they're taking this really complex thing, the legal system, and they're making it understandable. Right. They're breaking it down.
Yeah.
So it's not so intimidating.
For us regular folks. And, you know, one thing I really liked about their website
Yeah. What's that?
was they had all these testimonials from their clients.
Oh, yeah. That's always good to see.
It's one thing to hear lawyers talk about how great they are,
Right.
but to hear it from actual people.
Right. From the people they've helped.
Yeah. It's like social proof. You know, it's like,
It's like a referral.
yeah,
Exactly.
from someone you trust.
And it wasn't even just about, legal victories. It was
Well,
about how they felt heard and understood.
Right. They felt like someone was in their corner.
Which is huge because, let's be real, dealing with legal stuff,
Yeah.
it's stressful.
It is. It's not fun.
It's not fun. So to have someone who's not just like,
Legally knowledgeable, but also compassionate.
exactly someone who actually cares.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It does. It really does.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive on business and personal injury law,
Yeah.
what's like the one piece of advice
Yeah.
that we can give our listeners about this stuff?
I think the biggest thing is don't wait until it's too late to seek legal advice.
Yep, go talk to a lawyer.
Right? Whether you're starting a business, dealing with an accident, or even if you just have questions about your rights,
Yeah, just pick up the phone.
it's better to be safe than sorry.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and in the legal world, that's definitely true.
Couldn't agree more.
So do your research, find an attorney you trust, and rest assured you're in good hands.
Exactly. And remember, knowledge is power.
Well said. That's a wrap on this legal adventure, folks. We hope you found it enlightening and empowering. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.